Yeah, so here we are, back with more the House of Fata Morgana, and we just got done with their door, and we're about to take a look and see what the maid's gonna tell us about us and why we're here. All right, so I guess I'll just get started in a bit. Just let people have a couple minutes to get in. So if anyone's here, just say hello, and I'm glad that you're joining me in this. All right, let's just load it up, and we'll just let people come in when they do. Set on a pot, set it on, and also pour water into it. Gather the pieces thereof into it, even every good piece, the thigh and the shoulder. Fill it with choice bones. Take the choice of the flock, and burn also the bones under it, and make it boil well, and let them seethe the bones of it therein. Thus saith the Lord, Woe to the bloody city, to the pot whose scum is therein, and whose scum is not gone out of it. Bring it out, piece by piece. Let no lot fall upon it. Where is she? Where'd she go? She came down this way, I'm sure of it. Find her, and burn her. Burn the witch! 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 Oh, this music's so good. Then will I leave thee upon the land, I will cast thee forth upon the open field, and will cause all the fowls of the heaven to remain upon thee. And I will fill the beasts of the whole earth with thee, and I will lay thy flesh upon the mountains, and fill the valleys with thy height. I will also water with thy blood the land wherein thou swimmest, even to the mountains, and the river shall be full of thee. And when I shall put thee out, I will cover the heaven, and make the stars thereof dark. I will cover the sun with a cloud, and the moon shall not give her light. All the bright lights of heaven will I make dark over thee, and set darkness upon thy land. I seem to have lost them. Now, where am I? Where should I go from here? What am I to do? Darkness spreads as far as the eye can see. Not a ray of light shines down upon me. All that strokes my cheeks are tendrils of darkness. Every passing day, every fading hour, my world is engulfed in ebony. There exists no kindness in this shadow, only solitude. I've lost track of how long I've been on the run, wandering aimlessly, lost until I arrived at this dark forest. I no longer have anywhere to go. O Father who art in heaven, I kneel to thee within my heart, and ask thee of thy blessing. O Father who art in heaven, I ask thee to shine thy light upon me and show me the way. Please have mercy upon my soul. O Father who art in heaven, I do love thee dearly. hallowed be thy name. Please show me the way. I may be shunned and persecuted, and I may have no place to go. But nevertheless, I am unable to give up on life, to cast aside my hope. O Father who art in heaven, please guide me on to salvation. O Father who art in heaven, please guide me. I can no longer remember where my life became naught but running, when it became endless wandering in the dark. And now, when I've reached the point where I've long since forgotten my hunger and thirst, my voice has become hoarse, my vision gone blurry, and my consciousness begun sinking into a hazy morass. That mansion appears before me, wrapped in a morning fog that seems to foretell rain. Oh my. The mansion comes into view like a world fading in after a dream. It doesn't appear as though anyone lives here. All the windows are either boarded up or shuttered, as if it's long since abandoned. A tower which seems out of place in a personal residence stands tall beside the mansion. The whole building seems as though it could disappear with the fog. It has an unwelcoming presence, freezing me in my tracks. However, if this is where you've led me, then I shall follow your guidance. Having nowhere else to go, this mansion is my only salvation, the light that guides my way. And so I must have faith that no matter what I find, whether spirits or wild beasts dwell within these walls, that this is where I will find peace. It's fine, Pixel. Don't worry about it. I was getting worried because I was like, oh no, am I gonna have to do the stream where I don't take that as a thing of you doing something wrong? It's like, just come in whenever. But that's more of an insecurity on my part of being like, oh no, what if I stream to no one at all? But yeah, if you want a little bit of what's happening, we've just started this still. So there, the white-haired girl was being chased by a group of people trying to burn the witch and definitely, horribly torture and crucify her and all sorts of horrible other stuff, most likely. And she's escaped into a forest and into endless nights of just running away. Yeah, we're really just beginning. So you haven't actually missed much since the last time. And now she's found the mansion in the middle of the forest. Also, yes, things tend to go badly in these videos. Is anyone here? Anyone there? I guess it is abandoned. That makes sense. It would be more unusual for someone to be living in a house so deep in the woods, so far from civilization, like it's been forgotten to time. I can't imagine anyone spending their days here. I place my hand on the front door. What if I can't get in? I very much doubt I'll find anywhere else to stay wandering around through the woods. If the door doesn't open, then I'll die out here in the forest. I've come to accept much, but I'm not ready to forfeit my life just yet. Please open. The door is heavy, and though it seems to protest my attempts to enter, it still opens much easier than I was expecting. I was worried over nothing. Looking in, I get the strangest impression light is being swallowed up into the mansion's depths. Rather than going inside, it feels as though I'm about to step outside the boundaries of this world. When I close the door, it's so dark, I can't even tell where I'm walking. I wonder if the window's open. Though I manage to fumble my way over to the window, it's tightly shuttered and the shutters are caked with rust. I'm probably not getting it open without a fight. If only I had some source of light. I can't even see my hand waving in front of my face. It feels like the floor will fall out from under me, and I'll sink into eternal darkness if I don't watch my step. Fighting back that fear, I slowly walk forward, tracing the walls with my hand. There's the door at the end of a long corridor. I pull it open, and a wisp of bone-chilling air pushes past me. It's too dark to see anything, but I can feel something different present in this area than the rest of the house. Uneasiness grips me. Is anybody here? My voice simply disappears into the void. No response. As I'm pushing forward through the freezing air, for a split second, I spot a shimmer of light. Squinting my eyes, I'm able to make out a large window. Unlike the others, it's not shuttered, but covered by drapes. My chances are slim, I imagine, but if there's even a slight possibility of getting some light in here, it's worth a shot. So I pull open the drapes. The next moment, faint but colorful light shines down upon me. It's a stained glass window. From beyond the glass, I can hear the subtle pitter-patter of rain. I guess it finally started. The different colors of light blend into a milky white, dim but wondrous. It's gorgeous. Why would someone cover this up? It's beautiful. With a little more light, it'd be... Please do not touch the drapes. Or the windows. Suddenly I hear a voice and I can sense someone in the room. The man's voice is emotionless, neither deep nor high. Before long he comes into view, illuminated by dull orange candlelight. What a handsome fella. Michelle. I'm sorry for coming in invited, but I did announce myself. The man stands there, practically blending in with the darkness. Has he been there the whole time? He's staring straight at me. His gaze wavers slightly, but not enough for me to read anything in it. The candle in his hand and the light from the stained glass window are the only illumination in the room, neither of which are particularly bright. As a result, his outline is faint and blurred. It gives off the impression that he might vanish entirely between blinks. My apologies, I assumed the house was abandoned. Yeah, it's pretty heavy. The music. I suspect you would have preferred it to be abandoned. Not at all. In this, do you live in this mansion? Yes, I have for a very long time. I thought I barred the front door, but I would seem to have left it open. What brings you here? If you're lost, I'm happy to give you directions. There's a village west of here, and it should take you maybe a half a day on foot. If you're in need of money, help yourself to some of the furniture. Trade it for food at the village, then make your way to a larger town. Everyone just keeps offering the furniture to trade, and no one... Please allow me to stay here. Could you repeat that? I cannot go to the village. No, I can't go anywhere. I'm no longer able to freely return to any town. I'm being hunted. You seem rather young to be a sinner. So you have transgressed. Feel free to take an ottoman on your way out. It's literally, everyone's done it though. In every single door, I think someone's just been like, just take some of the furniture. I'm neither a thief nor an adulterer. If I bear any sin, then it has been with me since birth. I will do everything I can to stay out of your way. I simply ask that you grant me shelter until it all blows over. If you wish to know of my transgression, I will tell you. So please do not throw me out. I see. And do you ask me if this aware of how people refer to this mansion? Pardon? It is said that a witch once lived in this house. And not just any witch, a cursed witch. This house has been tainted by her seething hatred, and all who dwell within it meet their demise. But you live here, don't you? Like her, I too am cursed. Huh? What kind of curse? The one thing I can tell you is that your life is in danger if you get involved with me. Should you approach my curse, I am likely to take your life. You'll kill me? Yes, so you do not belong here. To live with me in this mansion is to sentence yourself to death. No matter what path I choose, I very much doubt I have a future. And if that's the case, then I shall live how I want. I don't care what people say about you or this mansion. I wish to stay here. You might think I'm rather strange, but my heart tells me that I must stay here, that I was guided here, and hearing what you have to say only reinforces that. What are you? I'm not scheming anything. I'm simply tired of running. So if your curse is going to kill me, then perhaps that's for the best. At the very least, you won't be hunting me. You won't try to flay me or tear off my mind, or rip the flesh from my bones. That's enough for me. If you committed no sin, then why do they hunt you so fervently? I'm accused of being a witch. Master? Master? Please wake up. Return to me. Ah, have you come too, Master? I apologize for sending you through the door without warning. But I must have given you quite the scare. But I beg your forgiveness. I heard a terrible screaming from down the stairs and I panicked. You say you saw the white-haired girl? I see, so you made it into the world beyond the door before me. I am deeply relieved that I was able to take your hand before losing sight of you. I presume you have already grown familiar with the atmosphere of this time period, Master. You've seen her as you said. Ooh! Oh! By the way, I actually planned to do this, but... A witch once lived here. Huh, censored words. And then, in the middle of this, red. My lifeblood was your sustenance, your prosperity. Upon my blood did you build your lives, a sin so great that it shall never be forgiven. And my blood were your lives, and by my blood were your lives extinguished. This is the power granted unto me by God. My blood shall become a curse, blotting out the stars. I am the witch Morgana. Now let us begin a tale, the beautiful finale to this world. Treasured red jeweled sword. Yep. She was a very misfortunate girl in this era, accused of being a witch, abused and persecuted. Her life was in constant danger. It was again her appearance that brought this upon her. That snow-white hair and those ruby-red eyes clearly differentiated her from everyone else. And oh, I apologize. I neglected to mention that this door is unique. As for what sets it apart, that will be made very clear as we proceed, though one difference is in the time period. The tales I've shown you began with that of the beautiful flaxen-haired family, followed by the tale of the bloodthirsty beast, and then the tale of steel and ambition. Proceeding in chronological order. However, the door we have just entered takes us to the period now known as the Middle Ages, long, long before the other three tales. Yes, that is correct. This is where it all began. The mansion's curse, the truth of the witch, and your identity. All of this should be made known. If after this tale, you are still unable to reclaim your old self, then there's nothing more I can do. This door contains the last tale I'm able to tell you. So I ask of you, please do not let go of my hand until it is all over. Now then, let us begin a beautiful tragic love story of two solitary souls, trapped in a mansion of darkness. In that era, the mansion was a dungeon draped in darkness. After a great deal of time on the run, the white-haired girl found herself at a remote mansion that stood in a dark, overgrown forest. All the windows were either boarded or shuttered, and it was even darker inside than in the house outside than out. Not even a ray of moonlight could enter those walls. Only naturally the white-haired girl had assumed that nobody lived there. But her guess was incorrect. Someone did indeed dwell in the house. It was a young man named Michel. Though she could not make out the details of his face in the candlelight, she thought him a very handsome man. However, he proclaimed to her that a witch resided within the mansion, and that he too was cursed. Everyone who got close to him lost their lives. Do you think what he told her was all nonsense? A lie devised to chase her out of the house? The truth of the matter will come to light in time. Ruby Red Eyes would be cool. Despite Michelle's assertions, the white-haired girl decided she would take up residence with the mansion with it. This year's white-haired girl was younger than the others, and she was still in her early teens, young enough to be seen still as a child. But she was neither as self-centered nor as responsible as you might expect of someone her age. She was very delicate and reserved, and acted with a great deal of modesty and restraint. The accusations of her being a criminal and sinner were grossly inappropriate. Nevertheless, she was still chased from her home, barely managed to flee to this mansion with her life. Now the white-haired girl thought it would be rude to simply take up space in the mansion, so she chased down the master, Michelle and S. Once again, the over-idealization of the white-haired girl. And there's a constant running theme of accusing people to be witches and, the abuse they get forced upon them due to it, right? It's obvious bullshit, but people do it regardless, right? But it never happens to anyone who's, not perfect. There isn't ever a moment where it sort of acknowledges, right, that can happen to someone, even who isn't like this, right? I don't know quite how to put it in words. Is there anything I can do to help? I will clean or cook or do anything. Just let me know. I want to repay you for allowing me to stay here. You need not feel indebted to me. The weight of that obligation will only turn into disdain. But I just can't stay here and do nothing. Do whatever you like, as long as you do not enter my room. That is all I ask of you. He sat emotionlessly, turning away and walking off. Michelle was not, I believe, spurning her. He was merely disinterested. He did not treat her disrespectfully, nor did he seem averse to her presence. Words simply did not seem to affect him at all. Not only was the mansion a prison for his body was also a prison ensnaring his heart. Hello, Wheelbaron. We are continuing our story. I think you were joining us in the last episode, where Jacopo was basically the worst, and Maria really just fucked things up for the white-haired girl super bad. Now we're getting a look at our story, and the painting's telling us not to trust what she's telling us, but also that we can only bear the tragedies of the last few because they weren't ours. I should still do whatever I can. But she did not let that get her down. In fact, she might have even interpreted his disinterest as kindness. Though he was a bit standoffish, he did not attempt to cause her harm. He was nothing like the people who had accused her of being a witch and forced her to flee for her life. And she was deeply grateful for that. Thus began their quiet life together. Michelle, who avoided contact with others, and the white-haired girl who had taken a great deal of abuse from others. Two people who knew hardly anything about one another, who were too distant to really be said to be living together. Michelle spent most of his day in his chambers, so they only ever saw each other occasionally, and they hardly ever spoke. Though they stayed in the same house, they both still lived solitary lives. Nonetheless, the white-haired girl wanted to get to know Michelle better. She wanted to know why he called himself cursed. Why he lived alone in this dark mansion. How many days, how many years had he spent here in solitude? And while she waited for the opportunity, she also started doing things around the house. The first project she set out to take care of cleaning. As the windows were all firmly shut, her only source of light was candles. For whatever reason, there was a great deal of candles stored in the cellar. She wondered where on earth he had acquired so many, but she never found the opportunity to ask him. It was difficult to even see all the dust and cobwebs, with only candlelight, and considering the poor airflow through the house, she was afraid her efforts were going to be in vain. Still, she persisted, sweeping and wiping things down one room at a time. Eventually, she made her way to the library. The dust that had settled there was much heavier than any other room. With each breath, she had to fight back coughs. It was not a room one would normally be comfortable spending much time in, but the sight of so many bulky volumes lining the shelves sent her heart aflutter with delight. They're books. Incredible, real books. The white-haired girl had never seen a book before. She had heard people describe them, but that was the first time she had ever seen one for herself. Parchment was a very valuable commodity in that era. It was something monks or scholarly priests made use of, and not a material one could easily acquire without some degree of social rank. Books were not printed with machines, but copied by hand. A single volume took an incredible amount of work to create. Even the process of binding was an art. Standing before a shelf, she stared intently at the spines. There's so much dust. Does he not read any of them? Just a peek, just a tiny little peek, she said, making excuses to the empty room as she reached her hand towards one of the books. The tome that caught her eye was on the upper shelf. It bore gorgeous jade embossing and looked like it belonged in a treasure chest. Almost. Though she tended to act older than her age, the white-haired girl was still in her early teens and not especially tall. Even standing tiptoe, it was still just barely within her reach. At long last, her slender fingers made contact with the spine, and she began to pull the book toward her. The library had set abandoned for some time, causing covers to stick together. So when she attempted to pull one out, several others tilted with it. And then, almost all the books on the shelf came avalanching down onto her. Ow! Ah! The white-haired girl groaned, buried under a mountain of parchment. She hoped she had not damaged any of her host's valuable collection, for the mess was enough of a setback already in her attempts to express gratitude. Looking around, she saw one volume that was almost torn in half. She did not know whether it was in that condition before, or if it happened in the fall. But nonetheless, she felt horribly guilty. Sitting there, unable to get back to her feet, tears began welling in her eyes. Then suddenly a shadow fell over the dejected girl. He took a book in its hand and returned it to the shelf. For a brief moment, the shadow's hand reached hesitantly toward the white-haired girl, then changed course toward another book. It was Michel. There was a hint of perplexity in his otherwise emotionless eyes. Perhaps he had heard the noise and come to see what had caused it. I am so sorry, your book side. What were you doing? I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to make a mess. I didn't mean to damage such precious books. There's no need to panic. I'm sorry. You make it sound as though I'm admonishing you. What? Do you want to read a book? I do, but that's not what I originally came here to clean. Clean? Yes, I feel guilty simply being idle. I did say you could do as you please, but you have no responsibility to clean anything. I just ended up making a bigger mess anyway. I'm so... You needn't apologize. Oh, okay. If you want to read, help yourself to any of the books. But I don't know how to read. I just thought the cover was pretty, so I wanted to hold them. You're free to use them however you wish. If looking at them is enough for you, by all means. These are all your books, aren't they? They are. That's incredible, you have so many. It must have taken you a long time to acquire them all. One per month. What? My family sends me one every month. Every month? The white-haired girl turned her gaze back towards the shelves, squinting her eyes and beginning to count. When she finished, she was in awe. There were in excess of 100 books in the shelves, which means he had lived there in solitude for many years. She was at a loss for words. They're dull tomes, dreadfully inoffensive, not even interesting enough to waste a few hours with. Decoration's all they're good for. I see. If you can put them to some use, then perhaps my having them won't be entirely meaningless anymore. Hello, 80% relatable. We're starting our story apparently according to the maid, except the painting tells us not to trust us, but also that the only reason we've been able to handle the tragedies of the other doors is because they weren't ours. I'm going to return to my room. Don't feel obligated to clean up. Just a minute. Was there something else? Could you Tell me your name. I just realized I never asked for your name. Not knowing what to call you will make conversation awkward. You don't need my name to. I want to, though. Michelle. Michelle, like the Archangel. The name suits you quite well. It suits me. It does, although it's difficult to see you in the dark. You seem to be a very handsome man befitting your name. Oh, by the way, you might notice there's some censored stuff in the version we are we go in the backlog. Some of the words we're seeing are censored in the backlog, and let me see if I can go far enough that this works out. Yeah, there's red text that didn't appear in the actual dialogue. You seem to be a very handsome man, befitting of your name. I beg to differ. Giving me his name is the highest form of mockery. I expect the real Archangel's probably rather annoyed by it. I don't know. No, I think it's a wonderful name. And you're... No, never mind. Oh, my name? My name is Giselle. Please call me Giselle. Huh, Giselle. And Michelle. And Michael. They're all back censored, huh? Oh, thank goodness. For what? That I was able to get your name and talk to you for a little bit. We haven't seen much of each other since I first arrived, so I'm glad that I got to hear your voice. So very glad. You gain nothing by speaking to me. You have no responsibility to do so, and there's no need for you to feel joy about it. I'm not pleased out of some sense of responsibility or necessity. It's just depressing not being able to have a conversation with someone living in the same house. You do not understand me at all. As I said on the first day, my curse will one day kill you. But I'm still alive, aren't I? You're welcome to believe I'm lying, or that I'm merely out of my mind. But it will be too late when you realize the truth. I'll be fine, I'm sure. And even if I do die because of your curse, I promise I won't hold a grudge. Could you possibly be keeping away from me out of concern? No, I simply have no interest in interacting with anyone. I would like to interact with you. If you don't mind, that is. As I told you, you have nothing to gain from that. I have nothing, not even words to give you. My body's but a shell, even if it were not cursed. My presence would do naught but cause you discomfort. I don't think that's true. I don't believe that there's anyone in this world with absolutely nothing. There's plenty inside you. You simply haven't noticed it yet. And not all of it will only cause others pain either. If you truly believe those words, then you're a foolhardy girl. How can you trust someone you only just met? For the matter, how do you not resent everyone? Resent them? I can take a guess as to why people call you a witch, and why you had to flee all the way to this mansion. Your white hair and red eyes, that abnormal, seemingly inhuman appearance drew their condemnation. And I can think of any number of reasons they might have started treating you less than human. Perhaps people around you experienced misfortune, or perhaps there was a natural disaster, a famine, a plague, some kind of external phenomenon, and you were their scapegoat. Yes, you are by and large correct. Then that would make me unworthy of your trust as anyone else. I make no claim to having your interest in mine. Goodbye. If you don't mind, could you teach me how to read sometime? Do you listen to anything I said? I listen, yes. I have no intention of idolizing you. I don't expect you to do anything for me. And I don't wish to burden you in any way. I simply wish to be allowed to be at your side. It does not matter what kind of person you may be. That is all I want. I apologize for keeping you. Please consider if it's not too much trouble. As the master of the house, Michel made his way out of the library. He appeared to be slightly rattled. Perhaps the white-haired girl's determination had ignited something in his chained heart. Or perhaps it was something else. She stared down toward the darkness into which Michel had disappeared. Then she carefully wrapped her arms around the jade-embossed tome, a soft smile spreading across her lips. He's a decent man, I'm sure of it. We're alike, he and I. And thus began to blossom within our faint sense of fellowship, as someone who also knew solitude. It had been about a week since the white-haired girl had taken up residence in the mansion. Staying at the house deprived of light, I imagine that was a very claustrophobic experience. By the way, what do people think of this iteration of the white-haired girl and this Michelle character so far? Staying in that house deprived of light, I imagine a very claustrophobic experience, Master. To anyone blessed enough to have sunlight as part of their everyday lives, it would have been unbearable. But for her, the mansion, with its prison walls and lack of either illumination or recreation, was the only place she could find respite. She and Michelle continued to be distant, however. He spent most of his time in his chamber, which he had explicitly told the white-haired girl to stay out of, leaving her unable to close that gap. Nonetheless, on occasions they did cross paths in the hallway. Their eyes would meet, if but briefly. It was never more than a few seconds. Whenever she saw him, she made a point of giving him a little smile. He never said anything, but still, when she had first arrived, he would not have ever met her gaze. He seemed to be taking more and more of a notice of her. One day, the white-haired girl stood in the cellar, a frown on her face. This is troubling. I can't go down to the village, but if we don't do something soon. The cellar was where their food was stored, an assortment of non-perishables, dried food, smoked meat, and cheeses. Her daily meals were taken from the supplies there. However, the stockpile was beginning to grow quite small. Were she not on the run, she could have gone to the village to procure more. Or perhaps were she just a little tougher, she could have captured a wild animal for its meat. But Master, you know, a young delicate thing like her was hardly up to the task of hunting for food. How does he normally get his supplies, I wonder? From there, other questions about Michelle started rising in her mind. No matter how lifeless he seemed, surely he still had to eat, right? The white-haired girl nodded, then made her way out the cellar, intended to head for his bedchamber. But on her way, she spotted him standing by the entrance. Standing motionlessly at the door, lit by a single candle. He appeared to be waiting for something. May I ask you a question? Go on. I was just down in the cellar and noticed we were running low on food. Do you normally go down to the village to restock? I haven't been outside in 10 years. Then how do you... What if I told you I don't eat? What? That I'm not of this world, and such I have no need of sustenance. What would you think of that? That sounds very, economical? If you can survive without having to eat, that's one less thing to worry about. If it were possible, I'd like to have that ability too. I see him trying to frighten you is a waste of time. Was it supposed to be afraid? Never mind. It doesn't matter. Yes, but the food in the cellar. It's getting to be about that time. Wait and you'll find out. What are you? It's here. Oh. If you want to know where my supplies come from, open the door. But I'm in hiding. There's no one at the door anymore. The knock is nothing more than a signal. A signal? The white-haired girl turned towards Michel, to press him for more information, but he averted his gaze. Find the answer for yourself, he seemed to be saying. She took several moments to gather her will, then marched over to the door. So bright. The sunlight, which she had not seen in some time, was so bright it seemed to burn her eyes. While the sun itself had not gotten any brighter, she had simply spent so much time in the dark, her eyes were no longer accustomed to that much light. The color of her eyes made them quite sensitive to light already, so when she stepped outside, her whole world went bone white. The white-haired girl stood motionless for 10, perhaps 15 seconds, and when her eyes had finally adjusted to the light, what's this? She noticed a crate on the ground at her feet. She turned her head back to Michelle to ask about the box, but the mansion was so dark it appeared to be wholly severed from the outside world. From where she stood, she was unable to distinguish Michelle from the shadows. A pang of nervousness struck her. She wanted to return to that darkness as quickly as possible. The white-haired girl had come to yearn for that world without light, more than the one with. The crate was fairly hefty. The slightly built girl had considerable difficulty bringing it to the house, but eventually she did manage to drag it in through the front door. And then everything went dark once more, except for the faint flicker of candlelight floating in the air. You can leave it there. I'll take care of the rest. What's... Without word, Michelle approached her and the box, withdrawing a knife he had evidently kept hidden somewhere on his person. With it, he cut through the rope that bound the box. Go on, open it up. At his insistence, she placed her hand upon the lid. She had no idea what lay inside this unexpected delivery. Whoever had brought it was already long gone. Staring at the strange box, she was racked with nervousness, however. What she found when she pushed aside the lid was completely ordinary food. Is something amusing? It was just rather anticlimactic. Here I was worried about what might be inside. We were just talking about supplies in the cellar. So we were. It completely slipped my mind. This should last us for some time. It's all preserved just like what's in the cellar. But I don't understand. Who would deliver all this to you? There should be a book in there as well. What? Oh, there it is. In the library, he said. That his family sends him one book a month. Does that mean this box came from them? If so, then why did the person who delivered this leave without speaking to him? What happened between him and his family? Is he here because they want him here? Or because he chose to be here? Take the book to the library, please. I will bring the rest of the supplies up to the cellar. But it's a big box, I'm sure you could use some help carrying it. That won't be necessary. Take the book and go. But... fine, then stay here. I'll take care of everything. Wait, hold on, please. What is it? You don't have to answer this if you don't want to. And I'm not trying to pry, but I can't help but be curious. Say what you have to say, please. I was wondering if you could tell me why you live here in this mansion. Why did whoever delivered this box leave before you even opened the door? Could you perhaps be imprisoned here? I told you this is the very first day. I'm cursed. It's only natural for a cursed man to live in a cursed home. Yes, but that's such a vague answer. I don't understand why you're in the situation you're in. I don't know how you feel about it. There's so much I don't know. And I'm not even sure if your curse actually exists. I see. That's a perfectly reasonable doubt from your point of view. Having been branded a witch because of your appearance. It makes sense that you think my curse might be fabricated. Perhaps a metaphor for something else. Alrighty then. Come with me. What? I'll show you my curse. As he turned on his heel, the white-haired girl caught a glimpse of what appeared to be a smirk on his face, like the whole thing was some kind of sick joke. The smile carved into his mask was far colder than any look of annoyance or rejection. But despite the twinge of nervousness, she still followed after Michelle. As much as he might have stood in a crowd, with such height and long hair, his presence was almost entirely eroded away by the darkness. She felt that he could simply fade away into nothingness at any moment. So yeah, if any of you have any opinions on any of these characters, I'd love to hear them or any of what's going on. Many things are buried here. Huh? Mice, insects, wild cats, and dogs. Have you ever thought it strange how little life there seems to be around this mansion? You're right. I haven't seen a single creature since I arrived. The only sound you can hear is the wind blowing. Now that you mention it, it did seem peculiar. Yeah, none of the other stories, like we've had some hints about a witch, and there's obviously the maid who continuously stays in the mansion, and just a strange situation we ourselves are in, right? But in the context of the stories, none of the stories really involve the supernatural. We did have a bit of a bait and switch in the second door, where Yukimasa was represented as some sort of supernatural beast. Witches are definitely real and our friends. I'm sure Morgana is a great gal. We'll get along fine. Nice having you, Will. Good luck with whatever you're doing, and have a good night. Now that you mention it, it did seem peculiar. They were all killed by me. Or rather, they lost their lives because of me. You have your answer now. A butterfly fluttered its way to the ruined garden, dancing up and down through the air. Michel handed out a finger before himself, and the butterfly, mistaking it for a branch, drifted down upon it to rest its wings. Had the scene stopped there, it would have been a picturesque moment. All that comes in contact with me loses its life. My skin, the breath I exhale, my flesh and blood, is poison to all life. But the butterfly's movements began to slow. It spread its wings in one last futile attempt to fight gravity, and then without warning, it shriveled up into a dry husk. It's dead, all dried up and lifeless. Like it's been dead for days. It's like his finger drained all life out of it. Is this his curse? Is that even possible? But I saw it with my own eyes. If this is his curse, though, it explains so much. There are more than just insects and animal corpses buried here too. Servants who came to visit me long ago are here beneath the ground. Under our very feet. That's why the servant leaves before I open the door. Should he touch me, should he get near me, his very life is in danger. No one's interested enough in seeing me to take that risk. No one will have anything to do with me. Neither a soul even wishes to see me. The world would be better off if I didn't exist. Now you understand what I meant when I said I would eventually kill you. So that's why you've never once touched me. When I knocked the books down the library, you didn't offer your hand to help me up. Hello, Mosca. We are in the middle of another story, so I think I'll just get you a quick rundown again, and let's see if I've gotten better at doing the fast. Okay, White Hero Girl's back. She's a teenager. She's running away from mobs that want to kill her for being a witch and horrible torture. The good old things. We're in the Middle Ages. She ran into a dark forest and eventually found the mansion. And then she found Michelle here, who is cursed and lives here. And if anyone touches or anything touches them, they die. As we just saw with the butterfly here. And apparently there's a bunch of serpents and animals and insects buried here. Yeah, it's quite a bit of a curse. Also, oh, you read? You're reading up on this? Oh, I'm glad I got someone that interested enough to read ahead. But you might not have noticed this because there's words censored here in the backlog. And if you go up in the backlog, this might take a second because we've been through it. Damn it. Yeah, we've gone too far now. But there's red text from a certain character, and if you read the chapter, you may have an inkling to who they are. That isn't shown in the actual descriptions, actual dialogue. The only one of us who ever made contact with the box at the entrance at a time. When I offered to help you carry it, you refused, because you didn't want your fingers to accidentally brush up against mine. My actions were not a concern for you. I simply dislike people. Others' interests mean nothing to me. Ah, so, okay, you know what's up already. What an odd face you're making. Do you not believe my curse is real? No, I do. It's certainly irrational, inexplicable, and unbelievable. But you've shown me more than enough evidence. And I don't believe you're lying to me right now either. In which case, you now understand how dangerous it is to be near me. You said if that you left, you would be killed. But it's been some time since then. If you're careful to cover your tracks, you could make your escape. Yes, Michelle is incredibly hot. This we know. You do not belong here. He's telling the truth about being cursed. What a cruel burden to have to bear. I can't imagine just how much he's given up on, how many lives he's inadvertently taken, and how much he must have felt it every time it happened, and how much pain that loneliness must have given him, and how much despair he must carry in his heart. How much sorrow must be weighing down on him. So no, I will not leave. I will stay here with you. Leave this place. No, I will not. Why? Why do you insist on remaining in this house after learning what I can do? You have no reason to stay. Tell me then, why do you try to drive me out? If you don't care for others as you say, if you're not concerned about anyone else, then what does it matter what I do? What does it matter if I die to your curse? You're a very kind-hearted man. You've been watching out for me since the day I arrived, doing whatever you can to not inadvertently kill me, to not inflict me with your curse. No. Here's what I think. No one capable of showing genuine care for others can honestly, truly dislike all people. They can't possibly be indifferent. No, that day we met before the stained glass window. You heard me out. You listened to my play. You didn't try to chase me out. That day I thought you to be a good person, and I still believe that. I simply assumed you'd leave on your own when it was safe. I never thought you'd be so foolish as to want to stay in a house like this with a man like me. How does that make me foolish? Do you not value your life? Are you not afraid of death? Do you not find me unpleasant? The thing I fear most is loneliness. You're probably right that by now I could safely sneak away and get myself somewhere far from here. But even if I did, I would inevitably find myself in the same situation. The only way I can avoid that fate is to stay away from everyone, to live in solitude with no one to talk to. I know you understand how that feels. It terrifies me. I'm afraid of having to spend day after day with no one to talk to, no one to share my experiences, my thoughts, and my feelings with. If that's what awaits me out here, then I want to live with you. I want you to be an essential part of my life. Impossible. Please don't chase me out. You are a cruel girl. Never again will I allow myself to get close to someone, only to watch them die. Never again. My mother was the first to die. It happened shortly after my birth. Next was my wet nurse. 2 deaths could be considered a coincidence, but as the numbers rose, it became clear that I was cursed. I was forbidden from making contact with anyone, even at home. Regardless, being in the same house, accidents will happen. Numerous people lost their lives. Attendants unfamiliar with me, or those who simply brushed up against me by mistake. I couldn't take it any longer. So you chose to move here, to this remote mansion, to keep yourself away from your family. That seems almost like too kind of a treatment for what's happened like for his family. The fact that he himself chose. You weren't imprisoned here. You elected to live alone so you wouldn't hurt anyone. For better or for worse, I was born into a noble house. So rather than abandon me, they've provided me the means to live out of sight. I will be very careful. I'll do everything I can to show no accidents occur, to keep you from being alone again. I will not for any reason touch you. You have my promise. Your curse takes the life of anything you touch. I've been here for a while, and death has not befallen me yet. As long as I do not touch you, there shouldn't be a problem. Also, and I apologize if this is simply me reading too much into things, but I feel like we're two of a kind. I fear being utterly alone more than anything. And I think you understand just how scary that is. So, why are you so stubbornly insistent on it being me? I'm sure there's someone else out there. Someone you're meant to be with. You may not have found them yet, but I believe someone like you eventually will. Because unlike me, you still have the vigor to press forward. It has to be you, I'm certain of it. Why? Because you can't tell me? No, I can't, please don't get upset with me. I think... No, I might really love you. A bit soon for that. His was a power that evoked images of witches or demons, the unclean and the impure. A mere touch was all it took for him to strip a man and beast alike of its life. Yeah, you're right, Pixel. This is happening a bit fast. This also seems to be very different from the other 3 doors so far. Also, thank you for complimenting my little mouse stance. I tend to just do that when I'm thinking. God has quite a cruel streak to bestow such power upon such a beautiful young man. And a strange power it was indeed, like something out of a fairy tale. Like something confined to words upon the page, it seemed otherworldly, unbelievable. Nonetheless, as he demonstrated the white-haired girl, his peculiar powers were indeed real. That said, the world has its fair share of oddities. It just so happens that those curiosities tend to remain hidden away, known only to a few. Although you have laid eyes upon a number of unusual phenomena yourself, Master. The doors to the past through which we have passed, this very mansion, and as a matter of fact, the 2 of us. Now, as you just saw, the white-haired girl found herself enraptured with this man and his cursed power. How do you think Michelle acted in response to our proclamation? He had spent so long refusing to interact with others. No, unable to interact with them. As such, he was unsure how to respond. Yeah, even the transition music, Mosca, is super light, and it doesn't have any of those moments of like, oh no, like increasing dread some of the other transitions of that. After standing there expressionless for a few moments, he muttered, "I'll consider it." And with that, he returned to his chambers. While he was not someone who wore his heart on his sleeve, I personally do not believe he is completely devoid of emotions. Just give me 1 second, I'll be back. I don't have any redeeming things yet or any bots, but yes, I have drunk the water for you, Pixel. Alright, while he was not someone who wore his heart on his sleeve, I personally do not believe he is completely devoid of emotions. He had simply forgotten how to express them in his extended solitude. So I think he was, in that moment, in a state of complete panic. She had, after all, just assaulted him with a stream of incomprehensible declarations that knowing the truth, she still wished to remain in the mansion, and that knowing the truth, she loved him. The love she had declared for Michelle was not a fleeting puppy love. There was genuine tenderness and warmth to her words, but he had gone through his life shunned, feared, pushed away. To him, that was normal. He had never given anyone reason to have any fondness for him, so he found himself utterly unsure how to take the affection she was showing. Of course, he was not the only one rattled by the whole affair. Oh dear. Several days had passed since Michel had asked for time to think. He had still yet to show himself again. This is all my fault. The white-haired girl paced anxiously through the halls on the off chance she might run into him. As per his request, though, she kept her distance from his chambers. Nevertheless, she was beginning to worry about the fact that he had secluded himself away for so long. So she worked up her courage and made her way to his room. What if he doesn't want to see me ever again? I didn't consider I might be overstepping my bounds before opening my mouth. Every step she took was slow and laborious. Her mind raced with worry and doubt. I should at least tell him I'm sorry. Rather than out of desire to know how he felt, she was compelled by guilt and a desire to apologize. It's interesting to note that it's not for him, it's for her. After walking for some time, she arrived at the door, sitting in an utterly unlit hallway. She drew in a breath of musty air and then let it out, repeating the process several times. Next, she reached her hand up to knock on the door, and then pulled it back, whilst doing it a number of times. Oh, how adorable she was. I wanted nothing more than to give her a little nudge. After all, she was too sweet a girl for her worries to be anything but misplaced. I just can't find the courage. Maybe I should come back another day. What's the point of waiting? I need to apologize and get the weight off his back now. Also, it's interesting, we have not seen the maid yet in this time. She gathered her courage once more, this time determined she would do it. The white-haired girl moved her small fist toward the door, which then swung open. I'm sorry. Please, you must announce your presence. I almost walked right into you. Are you in much of a hurry for a mishap? I'm sorry, and I believe I told you to stay away from my chambers. You did, so I spent a long time debating whether I would, but I decided I really wanted to tell you this. Oh well, actually, I truly am sorry. What? The other day I could barely manage to get the words in my hand all the way to my mouth. There was no room in my mind for anything else. I shoved my own thoughts and feelings into your face, not considering that might not be what you wanted, just running non-stop, not thinking at all. I was terribly disrespectful to you, completely selfish. You're a kind-hearted man, I truly believe that, and you're only being courteous because you're a nice man. I'm sure you have a little interest in the affections of a queer little girl. So, I would love it if I could stay here. It would be wonderful that lesson. But if you really don't want me here, if my feelings are imposing on you, then I apologize. I'm sorry, Anne. I'll take my leave of the sense. I'm sorry. Don't be. My mind went blank for a moment. What? I find it difficult to comprehend you. The other day you were firm in your intent to stay, and now you say you'll leave without a struggle. You holed up in your room for so long that I thought you didn't want me around. To be honest, I want to stay here, I do. I think you should do whatever pleases you. Huh? You can't stay or you can leave. I will not pressure you to do one or the other. So, I'm not imposing? To tell you the truth, I had to think about that for some time. However, I have now come to something of a solution. Since you're come into my room. What? But I thought I wasn't allowed to. To prevent what almost happened a few moments ago, so we don't accidentally run into each other. Sorry. You're forgiven. Now come in. Okay. Is this a necklace? If that's what this looks like to you, then I suppose that means I succeeded. Pick it up. It has a little bell. It's adorable. Please make an effort to wear that while you're in the house. Because it's so dark, there will always exist a risk that you might accidentally bump into one another. So I try to come up with a way to reduce the risk. Does that mean you didn't leave your room because you're working on this? That's right. What other reason would I have? I think most people would assume it's because they had put you in a bad mood or that you didn't want to see them. I have little sense of how most people see the world. Sorry. I appreciate it though. I'm really glad to know that you put so much thought into a life together with me. It'd be difficult not to after the other day. I'm so happy right now. I can't think of any better word to describe it. I couldn't be happier. You're being dramatic. To tell you the truth, I feel a little bad about it. Why? Seems rather impertinent to affix a bell to someone. You're not livestock, you're a person. That's why you turned into a necklace? Thank you very much. I'll keep it on me at all times. I truly appreciate it, Lord Michel. Don't call me Lord, please. Alright then, I'll just call you Michel. And will you please call me Giselle? The windows. What? If we can open the windows. Never mind. I was just thinking you wouldn't need the bell at all if you could get some light in here. They can't be opened? They're rusted shut. All the windows have been shuttered for so long as I've been here. I assumed you had boarded them all up. That was done long before I ever arrived. After so many years here, though, I hardly consider it an inconvenience anymore. It also serves to repel wanderers. Oh really? There's something odd about that. No, it's just I realized I had the wrong impression about a number of things. As I learn more, I see things in a different light. See you in a different light. And I'm sure there's plenty still more for me to learn. Of all the people I've ever met, you're perhaps the most difficult to predict. Not only do you have no aversion to darkness, the dark has always been a close friend of mine. Which doesn't say I dislike the sun, its light can simply be a bit too strong for me. It's like I'm some kind of unholy monster that can't be exposed to sunlight. You are anything but unholy. My name would suit you. Much better than me. Oh. Again, the names are being censored. In you, and the way they refer. What a beautiful story. Much better than the real thing. Is it not, my dear? That day when I first saw Giselle, I was wary of her. Apprehensive. I didn't want her anywhere near me. But as my doubts about her faded, I began to feel something very different, as though the lump in my heart had been melted away. I began to yearn for her to be at my side, knowing full well it couldn't possibly last, knowing full well how foolish it was. I found myself captivated by her. I found myself wishing to have her stay with me. And still the cheery transition. Those noses are the worst, but they're the best at being the worst. Those were really good. And that marked the true beginning of their quiet days together in the dark mansion. They acknowledged and accepted each other's presence, no longer isolating themselves, but actively, regularly conversing. As mundane as it might seem, it was something they had been unable to attain until then. Nonetheless, they were still somewhat fumbling around in the dark, with one another, drawing closer and pushing away again. Michel, in his own ungraceful way, was beginning to open up to himself to the things she said, and the white-haired girl was beginning to smile with greater frequency. They had taken to dining together, and her wish to learn to read was being granted. He taught her in the feeble light of the candle placed on the table, the two sitting across from one another. Though Michel seemed to be well educated, he had not been instructed in the art of teaching, so he found the process quite grueling. But to the white-haired girl, the longer it took, the better. The primary objective was, after all, to spend time with him. The days passed. Eventually she reached the point where her comprehension was adequate enough without assistance. Her next request then was for them to read through a book together. Have you read every book in the library? No, I stopped looking at them after a while. Most everything I'm sent is dull, uninformative direct. The Diary of a Lord, foolish make-believe tales. You're not fond of fiction, I take it? What value is there in lies and fantasies of another? Stories can be invigorating. Tales of adventure can take you to places you could never go. Legends of heroes, folklore, or stories of otherworldly phenomena. They can be terrifying and they can be exhilarating. They may not be real, but they give you a little glimpse into the author's heart. Lets you feel like you're seeing the same things they saw. You're a very empathetic girl. Fiction inspires nothing of the sort in me. However, perhaps long ago it might have been able to, though I can no longer remember what it feels like. I'm sure I'll come back to you. You're not an empty man. Sorry, I'm making you uncomfortable now. How about we read this book today? It appears to be a collection of legends. You haven't read this one yet, then? That's good to hear. It'll be more enjoyable if it's a new experience for both of us. It looks like it's a record of local legends. The book is divided into several sections. It appears most are superstitions. I'm curious what kind of stories this area has. And the two of them are looking down a simple, undecorated volume. As the white-haired girl had said, it seemed to be a collection of local legends passed down generation to generation. They sat across from one another at the table, her turning the pages and Michelle simply watching as to not brush against her. Eventually her eyes were drawn to a particular word on one of those pages, bringing her hand to a stop. The witch. The chapter detailed the story of a witch, or more precisely, Sid Witch's curse. The story went something like this. There was once a witch, skilled in the dark arts. She lived a meager but peaceful life alongside the other villagers. We got the normal music back. But then a long drought struck the village, which the people blamed on the witch. The witch was sentenced to death, and as the fire blazed around her, smoke rose high into the air. The smoke soon became rain clouds, blessing the village with an end to the drought. Their crops were revitalized, and the villagers fancied themselves heroes. However, the rain also brought madness upon the people. Though the earth below them was lush and fertile, the villagers were losing their minds, and they eventually began to take each other's lives. The witch still lived on in the form of a curse. Many fell victim to the witch's curse. Though it did not only take, it also fulfilled people's desires. The villagers had gone mad, but their wish for freedom from the drought had been granted. Thus the legend had been passed down as follows. The witch will grant your wish in exchange for a great sacrifice. As smoke in the sky, she watches down upon us from above. To reach the witch, climb for the heavens. But no, the road is the road to destruction. People still believe the witch's legend even now, I suppose. And that's why I face accusations of being a witch. This is not an area very welcoming to outsiders, especially one who stands out as much as you. What brought you to this region in the first place? Mine is a story I'm sure you've heard before. I was cast out of my home. I come from a very poor family. We could barely even afford to keep everyone fed. Being as weak as I am, it's only natural that I'd be the first to go. I see. What I don't understand, though, is why the witch is said to grant people's wishes. Let's say she had reason enough to hold a grudge, but not to give people the things they asked for. All we have to go on is a few pages. There's no saying what might have been changed or added over time. And it's almost certain the entire legend isn't written yet. That's it, if we're to set everything as written, you can infer what the witch's reason might have been. And that is, if you truly want that much, you can have it, but I'll make sure your suffering outweighs it. Despite despair coming after a moment of happiness is far more agonizing than despair alone. I presume that is why the witch decided to grant people's wishes. That's one way to look at it. May I ask you something? Go on. When I first arrived here, you told me the cursed witch used to live in this mansion. After reading this legend, I'm now finding it hard to believe you made that up simply to scare me away. I appropriated this tale, nothing more. It said the witch was born in this house. What? Quite the place my family found for me. But it was a clever decision putting me here, I think. Not many people are likely to come near a house with such a pedigree. But... no, never mind. That makes sense. I suspect I know what she was going to say then. If the witch is such a grant wishes, then wouldn't that also attract people who so desperately want something? They do not care what price they must pay. And perhaps she was correct. Perhaps there had been those who had come to the mountain chasing after the legend. And perhaps they had encountered Michelle, touched him, and lost their lives. On that day in the garden he had said, "Many things are buried here." Perhaps that included such visitors. I wonder if that story might be more than mere superstition. If the witch of legend really did exist, what would you do? Might be nice to talk to her, maybe. That's all, really. I feel a little bad for her, though. The only people who ever visit her are there to ask for something after all. I can imagine just how lonely that must be. I swear I cannot comprehend the way your mind works. Sorry, although, if we assume the legend is true, I have no idea what climb for the heavens might mean. Oh? The mansion has an observation tower. Or I suppose what used to be an observation tower. At any rate, it is quite a tall structure. This is the house where the witch was supposedly born. A tower reaching to the heavens seems like a perfect place to find her, if she really is here. Oh yes, I remember seeing a rather tall structure at first approach the mansion. Would you like to see it? Of course. Please lead the way. The two of them left the library and made their way to the room with the stained glass window. At the far end of the room were the stairs to the observation tower. The door to this was at the observation tower. The tale of the witch had piqued the white-haired girl's interest, inspiring her to put herself forward to satisfy that curiosity. She had, after all, been accused of being a witch herself, so she undoubtedly felt an affinity to the legend. What a sweet girl she was. With Michelle in the lead, the two climbed a long spiral staircase. There were many more stairs than the white-haired girl had anticipated, and she soon found herself short of breath. Rectangular windows were carved out of the stone in regular intervals. Yeah, it would suck if bad things happened. Surely nothing like that will happen. I mean, look, we're getting the happy music. It'll be all right, Pixel. It'll be okay. Shirt with "Do It For Her," but it's just all the different pictures of the white hair girl. A pleasantly cool, high altitude breeze brushed across her face. After much climbing, they finally arrived at the top, where a door made of partially rotted wood stood. Michelle pulled open the door, revealing a small room with no windows or doors in sight. This is the top of the tower. Despite being called an observation tower, you could hardly observe anything from there. Her face contorted in confusion, the white-haired girl threw her gaze about the room. Glancing up, she saw only a darkened ceiling, and slightly beyond, a single small window through which shone a little ray of light. The beam cleaved through the darkness like the sharpened blade of a beautiful sword. The darkness draped over the rest of the room only served to make more impressive that solitary ray of light. It had a magical fairy tale quality to it. As if being pulled in by it, she drew toward the light. I suspect there was once a large window in this room. If you look closely, you can see seams in the stone of the wall. The color of stone differs slightly on either side of the seams. I presume something caused them to seal off the window after it was built. Though I don't know what that something might be. When Michelle's eyes fell upon the white-haired girl wrapped in a beam of light, he sputtered to a stop. The man who never flinched at anything, who had long since distanced himself from such journeys of the heart, was utterly bewitched. He had never seen her illuminated so vividly before, and he was a great deal of trouble finding the words to describe her striking beauty. For someone who had been chased out of her home and accused of being a witch, the white-haired girl looked less like a practitioner of the dark arts, and more like one of the hosts of the heaven. Michelle undoubtedly felt the same way, for his gaze affixed firmly upon her. Dazzling, isn't it? Like a staircase leading to heaven. Yes, perhaps so. Is there something the matter? No, I'm fine. You know, it feels like there's something odd in the air here. It feels like someone actually might be listening. If the witch were to speak to you, what would you say to her? I would ask her to tell me her true feelings. Tell me what kind of person she was, and what kind of pain she had to endure. I just want to know what she felt, this woman people branded as a witch. The legend was written from a neutral's perspective. It's possible she was a fearsome witch. It's also possible she wasn't. I get the feeling she was just persecuted, like me. Like me and you. Unlike you, I truly am impure. Disagree all you want, but my touch kills. I'm a strange, incomprehensible, irrational creature. Maybe I'm not even a living being, and that's why when I touch something, that is, I bring them death. If only I actually were a witch. If only I actually had some kind of extraordinary power. Regardless of whether it came from God or the devil, then I'd be able to grant people's wishes. My wish need not be granted. But it's what I want to. I wish to be able to touch you. I would be perfectly content with nothing changing, with us never being able to touch one another. I'd be more than happy with that. But I'm allowed to dream, aren't I? It doesn't have to be in this life. I pray the day will come that we can get closer, even if it has to happen in another life. Happiness is very much a stranger to me, but am I? Am I allowed to have this dream too? You are. I will never touch you, I swear, but I would like to dream about it. I would like to imagine placing my hand upon your cheek. You can. Reach your hand out for me. I will imagine it too. Imagine your fingers running through my hair, brushing up against my skin. I can feel your warmth. There was a wall between them, a wall they could not cross. For if they did, it would mean the white-haired girl's death. No matter how much they yearned for it, they could not touch one another, so they did so within the confines of their imagination, envisioning it in as much detail as they could manage. It was sad but sweet, a moment of pristine, untainted beauty. Once again, like, this whole relationship is too saccharine and sweet, right? The two of them emanated serenity. As fitting as the word cursed might have been the mansion as a whole, at the top of the observation tower, a pure bond was being started. A fleeting moment between a young man with a cursed touch and a kind-hearted, beautiful girl. The dream did not last long, no, for God is quite cruel. They simply wanted to be together, that was all. Their wish was hardly unreasonable, only a quiet, peaceful life together. But misfortune was creeping ever nearer, its footsteps growing more and more pronounced. Oh, knock. Is someone at the door? The flow of time was hazy within the mansion's walls. They had little way of telling whether it was night or day, preventing them from knowing exactly how much time had passed. The white-haired girl had made the habit of climbing the observation tower ever so often to see whether the sun was up, which allowed her to approximate the time of day. Consequently, when she heard the knock on the door, she was not aware of how deep the night was outside. That forest and beasts alike lay quietly at rest. All right, the stores in the cellar are almost exhausted. It must be this month's delivery. Not thinking it was worth bothering Michelle over, she made her way out of her chambers and headed for the entrance. There had only been a single knock, leading her to conclude, as before, a servant had simply left a box outside the door. So without a second thought, she opened the door. And there she saw a strange, vagrant man standing in the moonlight. His clothes were tattered, his bearded face bony and emaciated. She gasped, shrinking back several paces. The heavy door began to swing shut, but the man forced it open, glaring down her with unfocused eyes and mumbling, "Are ye the witch that'll grant people's wishes?" It was in the moment that the white-haired girl realized she'd been careless. The man had sought out the mansion because He believed of the legend of the witch, and he did not seem particularly right of mind either. Perhaps the result of wandering the forest for several days. Perhaps it was because he was so beaten down that he thought to ask for a witch's help. In a word, he seemed mad. No, there's no witch here. Sure there is, don't you lie to me. I can hear the witch's voice. She led me to this house. I promise you, there isn't. Now please, be on your way. Have you any idea how long it took to find this place? How many days have we gone without food or water? And you're telling me to get lost? I don't know what you want from me. I'm happy to give you a little food, so please. Is there really no witch? There's no witch here. It's nothing but a legend. If she does exist, she doesn't live here. I see. Then that means you're just an ordinary person. Just a person. Just a girl. So then there's a thing you can do. No, get away from me. What are you doing? Why waste time waiting for you to give me a little grub when I can just take it all? I'm starving here. So hungry I could heat a human. You're about to commit a grievous sin. Are you not ashamed to act in defiance of God? God? If I believed in God, would I come begging to a witch? I don't fear him. I sure as hell don't fear people. Who's gonna show up in a house in the middle of nowhere? Who's gonna call me out? Who's gonna stop me? No one, that's it. No one's gonna stop me, no one's gonna offer me salvation. There's a thought. You're a woman, so before I kill you. What are you doing? There's other people here. The white-haired girl lay pinned on the floor beneath the yelling bandit, pleading for help with her ruby eyes. As soon as Michelle grasped the situation, he tossed his candlestick aside and left for the man. The candlestick gave a sharp clang when it hit the floor, and the impact extinguished the flame, bringing the man to near perfect darkness. Something glinted in the bandit's hand, and then, without hesitation, he thrust it at Michelle. Michelle! How stupid must he be to come at me unarmed? In his hand, the man held a knife, its tip dripping with Michelle's blood. Red spilled from the gash in his arm, growing heavier with each passing moment. You're the only other person here by the looks of it. Perfect, I'll take you both out. You... what? You don't appear to know whose house you're trying to break into. What are you on about? Regret your ignorance to your very last breath. You're messed up in the head, you madman. Stay the hell back. Take one more step and... Michelle would have a sick command grab. I inherited the witch's curse. Let go. Michelle clutched the man's face in one hand. The man raised his knife to strike back, but... what's happening? The strength drained from his fingers, with the knife falling to the floor. The man writhed in Michelle's back. My face, I can't breathe. Leave this place immediately, though you won't get far fighting with my curse. Helpless to fight back. Nay, helpless to even consider fighting back, the bandit fled from the mansion in terror. In his wake, only the white-haired girl and a bleeding Michelle remained. I just saw a man's life drained from him. His face withering away, set completely dry. I didn't doubt him, but dear God, that was quite disturbing for you, I'm sure. No, not at all. It's my fault anyway if I hadn't been so careless. Oh, your arm, we need to get it wrapped up. Please do not touch me. You mustn't touch me. The wound is hardly faded. It's all my fault, I'm so sorry. No degree of the blame falls on me for saying nothing. Next time someone comes to the door, let me know. I'm sorry. Please, you don't need to apologize. Well, yes. For once, I'm actually proud of myself. Proud that I could use this terrible ability of mine to do something more than just take a life. To protect someone I care about. So like I said, please don't apologize. Alright. Thank you. Michelle. I'm glad you're here. I care about you too. Thank you. You would have seen a heartfelt smile on the white-haired girl's face, and she would have seen a flush of red and an awkward smile on Michelle's normally blank face. You might have also seen a little glimmer on her cheek, where a few drops of his blood had landed. But alas, they had no light. The collapse of their happiness came slowly, gradually. Perhaps it's because she had touched his blood instead of his skin. Yep, F's in chat for the white hair girl. Yet again. We can't have good things in this house. But the deterioration of the white hair girl's health crept along at a relaxed pace. The life was not sucked out in the blink of an eye, as it had been from the bandit. She merely grew progressively less and less healthy. Amidst her physical decay, she was bestowed with one blessing. Her beauty remained untouched. But as far as blessings went, surely there were others she could have been granted. Could God have not picked something a little better for her? By the time the two of them realized what was happening, it was already too late. The white-haired girl had grown so weak she could hardly leave her bed. Yes? Oh, you are there. I am. Thank goodness. I can't see very well anymore. How could this happen? I thought I had saved you, but no, I did the exact opposite. Please, don't talk that way. You did save me that day. But you're on the cusp of death now. It's my fault. Because of this curse I bear. How could this happen? Why did this have to happen? What am I? Why was I given this body? This cursed body? Michelle, can I ask you a favor? Go ahead. Stay with me, please. As much as you can, until the very end. It is a big mood. I was going to do as much anyway. Thank you. I'm happy, Michelle. Happier than I have ever been. And I mean that. You didn't just save my life. You saved me. I've been saved. But only me. I wonder how I'll handle things when I'm gone. If only I had opened that door that day, I wouldn't be leaving him all alone. And we could be happy together for even longer. Yes? Would you please hold my hand? I think it's probably safe now. I will not. I cannot touch you. If I do, I might take what remains of your life, take your beauty away and force you to die hideous. I cannot touch you. Huh. Huh. So, Mosca, you already know what's up, but for everyone else, this is all a lie. Now, it hurt. On his way back from the washroom several days later, Michelle heard muffled voices. Got it? Kill. He was having trouble making what they were saying, but he could tell it was several men, and they were outside the front door. The fact that he could hear them at all through the heavy door meant they were probably shouting quite loudly. An indescribable sense of uneasiness came over him. Dread. He drew near to the door and focused on the voices on the other side. They grew clearer, enough for him to make out what the men were saying. Everything's in place. We're ready to kill this witch now. This is definitely the place. That half-dead bandit situated in this mansion. Listen well, no matter what we find in there, we kill it. It could be a child for all I care. That doesn't change anything. Kill the witch. Kill the witch. Kill the witch. Kill the witch. What he heard beyond the door was a group of men shouting for the death of the witch. In that moment, Michelle regretted his decision to let the bandit go free and not watch over him until the moment of his demise. He must have made his way down the village in search of help where he revealed what he found at the mansion. Damn it. But it was too late. Regret would solve nothing. He could neither stop the village from raining house, nor could he stop the white-haired girl from dying to the effects of the curse. He was helpless to do anything. The gears of his fate had locked him out to a path of tragedy, and were turning mercilessly onward. The men had begun trying to break down the door, which sounded like a battering ram. While the first strike was not enough to breach the barrier, it was still quite powerful. He was certain it would not hold for long. Michelle's mind raced. Was there anything he could do about this predicament? How could he escape from the corner he'd been backed into? Despite his possessing human power, he would be powerless against a full mob of adult men. The villagers almost certainly came armed as well. Michelle! A weak voice came from behind him. Aghast, he spun around to fight the white-haired girl stumbling toward him. She breathed heavily, leaning against the collar's pole. What are you doing out here? You'll only worsen your condition by exerting yourself. I had a sinking feeling. I had heard noises on my way here. It seems that I have brought all my misfortune upon you. Don't say that. If I hadn't come, this never would have happened. You never would have been in any danger. Absolutely not. I will do no such thing. They're here for the rich, aren't they? I'm guessing they're the same people who were chasing me before. Please, Michelle, hand me over the minute. The village had poor harvest this year, I hear. Like the village in the legend, and they believe it's the witch's curse. But you're not a witch. They need someone to fill the role, though. So please, hand me over, then escape on your own. I can never. Please, Michelle. I'm the one who's cursed, not you. And you want me to hand you over? What would I have left then? Nothing. Not a thing. I would have nothing. So after so long, I finally found someone who isn't afraid of me, who won't run. I have no interest in a world that would take you away from me, make me live alone once more. To hell with such a world. Michelle. Would you be willing to die with me? If that's what you wish, then stay with me until the very end. I probably wanted to hear that just as much as him. No, not probably, I did. I wanted to have someone at my side as much as him. It's so lonely not having anyone. To live alone, to die alone. To not have anyone watching over you. For no one to even know you're dead. I simply wanted someone to tell me they're here for me. To be there, to hold my hand. How wonderful that would be. The sense of utter relief that would bring. Would be enough to cast away all the pain. To allow me to accept all our suffering. So please, tell me you'll... Michelle and the white-haired girl chose to spend their final moments at the top of the observation tower. They could hear the crash of the battering ram against the door, the shots of men and their stomping feet. But despite all that, the ray of light shining through the little window was as beautiful as always. The room's air of serenity remained, unimpeached. After the long climb to the top, the white-haired girl was terribly out of breath. Michelle considered several times offering his hand, but the possibility that doing so might rob her of her last scraps of life stayed his hand. It sounds like they broke the door. I'm glad we made it up here when we did. I'm so sorry for asking this of you. Don't be. I've chosen here for my final moments as well. This is the one place in the mansion with any sunlight. The one place I can get a good look at you. Thank you. I'm truly glad that I was able to end it here. That I was able to meet you. And more than anything, that you said you cared about. Have I managed to become an essential part of your life? Do you even need to ask? I wouldn't be here otherwise. I feel the same way as you, I'm sure of it. The two of us are more similar than you probably care to admit. Can I ask you one more thing? Go on. Would you embrace me? If this be the end, if this be my last chance, then I don't want to end without having ever been able to touch you. Please don't refuse me this time, Michelle. Just do it, please. I won't keep you waiting long. Thank you. The truth is, I always wanted this. I dreamed of being able to hold you. I dreamed of it too. Thank you. I'm so very... She's still so beautiful. We're a culture. Could you not have given us some other miracle? One that allowed us both to survive? Where are you? Where'd you get off to? I can't find her, goddamn. Hey, there's some stairs over here. Laid up. Beneath the single ray of light, one girl lay completely still. Not even a frail sigh escaped her closed lips. She remained as gorgeous as ever. It was as though she simply fallen asleep in the sunlight. Looking down upon her, Michelle determined to do one thing. I will not allow anyone to sully the sight. He gave a fleeting glance back to her pristine corpse, then opened the door and stepped through it alone. He would protect that room where she lay. I don't know, Mosca. The Rose Garden, the white-haired girl did not die in the Rose Garden, and neither did Mel. She didn't die then. It was just... she just got horribly scalped by Nellie. And then realized Mel is a fucker. So this is where you've been hiding, you infernal witch. Wait, that's not like the girl. The raucous sound of their footsteps ran off the floor. Shortly thereafter, the men themselves came to me. As he expected, they were heavily armed. He glowered at the men, then sucked in a deep breath and shouted at the top of his lungs, I am the witch you seek. I have inherited a curse, and it's I who bring calamity upon you. You hear that? But he's a man or woman, it doesn't matter. Death to anyone who has ties to the witch. Cleanse this earth of all impurity. Kill him! Michelle did not flinch at the sight of the men. He stood unyielding between them and the door. He did not flinch when they raised their weapons against him. Knowing, they pierced his body. Die and take your curse with you. I had no need for this last one. It's all yours. I am cursed to kill even that which I wish to protect. But at the very least, I can protect one thing before my life is done. Not even one of you will leave this place, wither and die by my curse. The blood spilled from his secured body flowed down the stairs, down and down like a little river, soaking the feet of every single man who stormed this mansion. This was the last thing he saw before the final grains of light slipped between his fingers, which brought a faint smile to his lips. Neither of the men expected what happened next, though for God has the most twisted sense of humor. The white-haired girl had not miraculously passed away without being robbed of her beauty. Why am I still alive? She had rather not passed away at all. Okay, that's not even good Hitson. He traded in this 1v3. He not only went even, he got 3 kills. Excellent KDA on Michelle. Quite cruel of him, was it not? Michelle, where have you gone, Michelle? Michelle climbing the PvP rankings. I smell blood. For had he allowed her to die, she would not have been made to witness the scene that awaited her. No, no, and I'm sure you know just what it was she laid eyes upon in that moment. The ravaged corpse of her beloved, a torrent of blood streaming down sparse staircase, and the sickening stench it raised. No, why? And his was not the only body. The villagers who had assaulted the mansion had been subjected to his curse. The life drained from their withered shells. Why did this? Michelle, why? Why am the only one still alive? That is a question I cannot answer either. Perhaps his curse did not affect those he loved, as terribly cruel as that might be. I cannot say. Why, you said we would go together. A world without you has no meaning. Had she actually expended her life there in the room at the top of the tower, perhaps this tale could have had a happy ending. She would at least been able to have the man she loved at her side until the very last moments upon this earth. But that was not what had transpired. She had survived, been left utterly alone. I felt a profound pity for the miserable girl. So I called out to her. Would you like to see him once more? What? I have the power to help you meet him again. Who's there? Where are you? You know what they call this mansion. So who do you suppose remains on these grounds? No way. You're from the legend. You actually exist. Now that I ask you a simple question, would you like to see him again? The witch grants people's wishes, but at a price. I said I wouldn't ask for assistance if I met her, but that's all changed, now that I've lost him. If it's truly possible, then yes, I want to see him. Bring him back to life. Regrettably, I cannot directly meddle with the forces of life and death. However, I can guarantee you this: your reconstruction. Reconstruction? Correct. To ensure that you remain yourself in future lives and are not reborn as someone else, your body and mind shall be reconstructed, and as shall his. If you sincerely wish to reunite with one another, if you genuinely need each other in your lives, you will eventually meet again. All I can promise you is eternal reconstruction. What you make of it is up to you. You want to see him again, don't you? You want to hear his voice again, don't you? You want to feel his hand on your cheek once more, don't you? If that's what you want, then you must remain who you are. If you're simply reborn, that wouldn't be you. So there won't be any point with it. Me as I am, and he as he is. Make up your mind quickly. I will not wait long. I want to see him again. As you wish, sweet little girl. I shall grant you both internal reconstruction, and pray with all my heart that you can attain true happiness. Shortly thereafter, the white-haired girl took her own life. She decided she had nothing to gain by remaining in the present time, and that in order to reunite with Michelle, she needed to make her way to her next life. And thus the mansion was left bereft of a master, to travel slowly through the ages until someone came along to give it life once more. But an unfathomable amount of time has passed, and the two have still yet to reunite. Have they, Master? Do you know who you are now? Do you not? You remember everything, do you not? You were present in every single era. The reason for which is I described in the previous tale. Because you yearned to be reunited with someone, but that person never showed up. And poor sweet you, having no memory of any of that, lived those lives with other men. Did any surprise misfortune befall those seriously? The door swung closed, but rather than outside, you and the maid were inside the dull monochrome room at the top of the observation tower. The awe-inspiring ray of light shone not through the lone window high against the wall. Wrapped in curious impenetrable darkness, you both stood alone in the room. The maid wore a gentle but brittlely cold smile as she looked straight at you. It's not your fault misfortune befell you. The only force for the blame is that fate. You were always so kind, so pure of heart. You had boundless trust for others and goodness of people. You are the very image of all that is right. There is no greater misfortune than someone as pure and beautiful as you, being mercilessly thrown into grinding gears of tragedy again and again. I still pity you for everything you had to go through. You poor, poor soul. You must be utterly exhausted, constantly betrayed, the man you were waiting for never appearing. After so long, your spirit worn down to the bone, you lost any and all awareness of who you even were. Who were you hoping to find wandering into this illusionary mansion cut off from the real world? You and I are the only ones here. The man you seek is nowhere to be found. Have you still not figured it out? Then allow me to tell you everything. I am the cursed witch Morgana who haunts this mansion. And you are the tragic plaything of fate, the white-haired girl named Giselle. Did my calling you master confuse you? If so, I apologize. My habit of calling the master or mistress of the house master is quite deeply ingrained. And yes, that means precisely what you think it does. That I've accepted you as my new master. That I wish for you to remain here. To stay with me. So let us put an end to this journey. Do not worry, there's nothing to fear. We are simply going to step outside the river of time. Nothing unpleasant will ever happen to you again. I will be here with you for all eternity, and I will give you the utmost care. You will not have to wait for anyone. Forget about him. The man you once sought, and I'm sure you'll find happiness. Please, do it for me. I've been waiting for you for so very long. I've wanted nothing more than see you again. But you're continually stolen away from me, despite my sincerest desire to spend my days with you. Which is why I wanted you to recall everything, for surely you would not be willing to repeat the same fate. If you knew of all the pain that it caused you to suffer this far, spend eternity with me, in the gentle embrace of darkness. Maid extended her hand for you, her fingers brushing against yours were cold as ever, but her breath tickled your skin pleasantly, and her sweet words rang in your ears, filling you with warmth. You thought back on your time with her in the mansion. She had indeed always treated you with great compassion, and nothing she had seemed to be a lie. And so you pondered, what were you to do? So we're gonna look at all of these. Let's time to be lesbians out of space time. Let's go. Sure. She was absolutely right. You had seen an excess of tragedy. You had borne witness to far too much pain, and your spirit was deeply wounded by it. You could not possibly endure any further tragedy, and so if she was offering you the relief from all that, perhaps you should just accept it. She had guided you this far, never letting go of your head, and it was her presence that allowed you to bear the bleak, disheartening, and wretched tales you saw. Did you really need anything else from her? If she said she wanted to be with you, then surely you were allowed to want the same. Grasp my hand, master. Come hold it tight. You gently wrapped your fingers around the maid's cold hand. Never again to let go. Never again to remember. Never again to look back upon the past you might have had. The rare treasure days of happiness, or the bitter days filled with nothing but pain, or the person you were supposed to find. But you were fine with that. There was no one to criticize you for averting your eyes from the pain and seizing out you had just lying before you. You made the correct choice. Master. Oh, thank goodness you've awoken. I was getting worried there for a moment. What kind of herbal tea would you like to start your day with? I have some wonderful chamomile leaves if you would like. Or perhaps your tastes have changed since we last met. Tell me, master. I beg your pardon. I allowed myself to get too excited, but we get to be together forever after all. Free of the flow of time, nothing to endanger us or our lives. Just peace and serenity for the two of us. I will serve you forever and ever. Does that not sound wonderful, master? Ending 1. Prisoner of Illusion. Let's reject her proposition. Yeah, sorry. Lesbians maybe out of space time forever. Maybe not the greatest. Or possibly another reason. Maybe we just don't trust her. She's a lying liar who's been lying to us according to the secret information in the logs and the painting. And we can trust that painting. That painting's only ever been nice. But what she said was true. You cannot give up on your search. You had spent years and years waiting to reunite with someone. Your previous attempts may have been rife with mistakes, but you could not stop trying. Come, master. Spend eternity with me in the mansion. We'll have the most wonderful time together. The sweet tone of her voice, her cold fingers, her icy smile. These were all terrifying now. You had to escape. Had to break out this darkness and make it outside. Master? What is the... You brushed the maid's hand aside. As her eyes widened aghast, you fled from the observation tower. Down and down the spiral staircase you went, though not a whisper of a footstep could be heard in the stone tower. The stairs seemed to go on forever. Down and down and down. A long last, you right at the bottom, dashing to the next room without a passing glance at the angel in the stained glass window. The maid had shown you around the mansion, so you knew its layout. Or perhaps you were familiar with it even before arriving there. A large door came into view. The exit was up ahead. Master. But the next moment her voice seized you from behind. You turned back and there stood the maid wearing the same smile. Where do you think you're going, master? I told you mustn't let go of my hand. This mansion is quite large. You could get lost if you go walking around unaccompanied. Now come on, let us head back. And please do not let go of my hand. It was the same smile she always wore. The exact same. But right now, it seemed inexplicably ghoulish. The chill that ran down your spine was not from the lack of heat, but utter terror. Come, let us head somewhere else. You had to get out of here. Oh, I know. We can put some more kindling in the fireplace and start a fire. The sweet firelight and gentle warmth will have you feeling wonderful in no time. You have to get out of here. You must be quite disoriented. The impact of regaining your memories has you terrified, am I correct? You have to get away, you have to escape, you have to get out of here. Do not worry. I will always take care of you. I'll keep you safe from anything that scares you. I will be here with you forever. You clawed at the door. It was not barred, so it should open. Nevertheless, it remained firmly in place. Now, you mustn't play around with that. Danger lurks from every corner outside. Fog blocking your sight, sinkholes in the road, a thick forest all around, beasts creeping about in the night. How could I possibly allow weak little you to go out into that? Now come back to my side, please. You have no need to be here. The maid drew toward you. She reached out her hand. Her whole body seemed to trying to encase you in ice. She wanted to keep you chained here in the darkness. Do not worry, there's nothing to be afraid of. You have to get out of this place. You have to break free from this house of darkness, from this doting maid and from the maelstrom of tragedy. You have to remain firm, unyielding in that desire. Your desire to go outside, your wish to be set free. You cannot be compromised or relent. Your thirst for escape had to be stronger than the maid's attempt to keep you here. If it was, the door would surely open. Master, you dashed it on the light. There was nothing blocking your escape outside. No fog, no forest, no sinkholes, and no beast in sight. The light was so bright it almost hurt your eyes. It was a world exactly the opposite of the darkness in the house. Master, please wait, you mustn't go out there. Come back, come quickly. You could hear the maid's voice, but you kept running through the light as far as you could go. Wherever you arrived, you were sure that was where you were meant to be. Once though, just once, you looked back to her shoulder. It was blurring the bright light, but you could see the mansion there. It wavered like a mirage. It took and disappeared any second. The maid standing in the open door. She desperately reached her hands out for you, but you were far out of reach. It seemed she could not leave the house. Perhaps you felt a pang for pity for her, but you were not sure. And when you could no longer hear the maid shouting for you, your consciousness snapped off. You fell not into darkness, but light. I see that you are very ahead of the assigned readings, Mosca. Oh shit! Modern day. Present day. Present time. The white hair girl. What was I doing again? Oh, that's right. I was on my way to school. Now, what was I doing dozing off in the middle of the road? I'm not sure. I feel kind of in a daze, like I just woke up some terrible nightmare. In the middle of the day? In the middle of the road? Nothing like that's ever happened before, has it? Something doesn't add up. I can't remember what I was doing. It's like there's a big gap in my memory. What was I doing? Who was I looking for? Need to stay focused. I have to get going or I'll be late. I know this place all too well. It's the same route I take to school every day. Also, France. Always the same route. I know this place? Yes, I know this place. I see it every day. Every day. Nothing changes. It's always the same. My perfectly normal, ordinary, everyday life. Ah, a gentle breeze brushes against my cheeks. My hair flutters and my gaze slides upward. I'm looking at a tall, handsome man with long hair and somewhat despondent demeanor. I think I know this man. As soon as I see him, I feel like someone struck their hand in my chest and squeezing my heart. It's hard to breathe, and the overwhelming sense of familiarity has me on the verge of tears. Elation jolts through all of my extremities. Ah, I know. This is the person I've been searching for. Excuse me. Excuse me. I have to get him to turn back. I have to look him in the eyes. I have to talk to him. We have to be reunited. I don't know his name, and he probably doesn't know mine, but still, this is fate, so... Back to the mansion. What? I must go back to the mansion. Hold on, there's something I need to tell you. How could I have made that mistake? It was the worst possible decision. I have to make things right. I have to take her hand. I have to make her smile for me. If I can't do that, what am I even alive for? What did I even return from everlasting darkness for? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. What are you talking about? This time I'll do it. Can you hear me? Why won't he look me in the eyes? And if it's not possible in this life, please listen to me. Why does he keep moving forward? Then I'll just have to place my hopes in the next one. Wait, red light. I beg your forgiveness. I made the worst possible decision. Though I will not make the same mistake twice. No matter what form you may assume, I will not err again. I promise I shall come back for you. Giselle? Someone, call an ambulance. Someone, been hit by a car. What? Ending 2, coming for you. It's interesting they're saying what form you take, despite the white-haired girl taking the same form every time. It feels like there's still more to be done here. Something seemed off, not only with the story she had just told, with her, and with you, yourself. Assuming everything she said was the truth. Which or not, my mind is made up. Which will strike you first, I want to regret it, of course. You seem to be doing just fine. It's only a tale. The witch is real, very much so. It's not a legend, nor a fairy tale. The witch spoke to me. Yeah! That's right. It wasn't the white-haired girl who claimed to be the witch. And that wasn't all. Or do you mean to reclaim your old self no matter the cost? If you do, if you're sincerely prepared to do that, then be wary of the tale that comes next. Any tragedy that seems too beautiful to be real is precisely that, a fabrication. None of your questions had been answered. You still didn't know who the painting was, or what had taken place so long ago that caused this mansion to summon people to it. You didn't even know who you were, for that matter. There was still more to be done. You had to find the truth. You needed to find someone that much was certain. But was the story the maid had told correct about whom? And if it was, what about her? What about the woman whose name you couldn't say? The woman who had so cheerfully called you master? We agreed that we would live together, not just in the same house, so we got plenty of time to add more to the list. And I hope you can make your own list about me too. This is just the beginning, after all. We got a long, long time ahead of us. Plenty of time to get to know each other, now. You must say her name. You must take her hand. You must make her smile once again. You mustn't reclaim your old self. It's dark. Dark. It's dark. It's dark again. It's dark, dark, dark. And we have the sound back. Constantly in constant darkness. You threw it away every single time. I must break out of this darkness. I'll give you a world that's not cruel to you. I must escape and take her hand. Because that's the reason. Oh, I've got a wonderful idea. I came here. You can curse them with me. I must return. I must reclaim. We can think of new ways to torture them. We'll all be happier if you stay here. Just think about it. Stay here in this world. You'll be right at home. No, I did the best I could for you, nothing more. This is not where I belong. No matter how much the world's darkness pursued me, you'll never be able to do it. I must reclaim my true self. This is brilliant. Wait. Do you know how terrible decision is? Oh, 1 second. I might be remembering this right, so just give me a second to do a save. And, load. Sorry for killing the pacing for this, because, yeah. It'll build in anticipation. Or is that one of the ones that's later? Yeah, I might be misremembering something, but we'll give it a second. Just enjoy that noise. The beautiful, beautiful noise. This is brilliant. Do you have any idea how terrible a decision that is? Do you have any idea why I fabricated that story? It was all for you. So stay here. Stay right where you are. The darkness suits you better. Remember what someone told you not long ago? That you could handle the stories because they weren't your own? That you were able to bear the tragedies because they happened to others? If that had been your suffering, if the secrets you had kept buried away for so long had come out, you couldn't possibly have endured it. But you're a sharp one. I'm sure you tend to keep those secrets tucked away forever. Do you really think I'm going to let you do that though? Whatever you try to hide, I'll make sure your beloved hears every last detail. Fuck that. Fuck that noise. How foolish can you be? Despite all my encouragement, you still insist on getting your old self back? What do you have to gain from that? Nothing but filthy, ugly tragedy awaits you down this path. Don't get your hopes up, my dear. There's nothing for you there. You have nothing. I am offering you a place by my side. You should just take it. There's no salvation for you anywhere. None at all, anywhere from anyone ever. She has long since lost all grip on reality, and you think there's anything you can do for her now, despite having repeatedly failed to even regain yourself? Well, I suppose if we're going to be stubborn, as much as I don't want to, I have to place a curse on your soul. That's right, the white-haired girl was never at the mansion. There's still a story left untold. What? The fourth door was a lie. What do you mean? It was not some sweet little tragedy. The story you told was pure fantasy. That was the truth. That was where it all began. Because of what happened then, you spent innumerable years lost until you showed up here. What? You reach out, grasping for it. You pull yourself in. Your silhouette, which had been hazy until now, begins to take form. Your mind, your consciousness, your heart, your soul, and your body. Who are you? The veil in your mind dissipates. A crack forms in the shell encasing you, then another. The invisible shackles chaining your spirit fall to the floor. Reality fades in atop an indistinct foggy world around you. Bony fingers appear before your eyes. Long hair. Your voice, no. My voice. My body. My fingers. My arms are frail and my joints are weak. But despite my resemblance to the white-haired girl, I am not her. This is who I am. I have finally reclaimed myself. You weren't waiting for the white-haired girl. You were waiting for me. And that's exactly why I came here. What? I have no idea. What are you talking about? I have always waited for the white hair. There was never a white-haired girl. There was only... This time I must say her name. She is... Giselle. There was only you. I'm... Giselle? No, I am not Giselle. I'm a servant at the house. I am the witch, the cause... You are not a witch. The witch is someone else. Why do you insist that you're the witch? What changed you so much? The shadowy figure in the master bedroom, that was her. A glimpse into her past. I'm sure this is Giselle, but why is she so different? What happened in the spark to the spark she used to have? Where did the light she once shone upon the world go? I have to remember. I must remember. This cannot end until I have. This is no longer a story. No, what I need to face is my past. And her heart. She's not even present in the story she made up. Everything about it had been changed. The past I lived and the wound she bore were more grounded in harsh reality, not wrapped up in a film of fairy tale magic. That was the final tale and it was all true. That is how it happened. No, how can you not see this? Yes, it was a beautiful tragedy, but was there even a scrap of humanity in it? You had the three preceding doors that had been a constant thread of ugliness and conflicting motivations, but there's hardly a trace of that behind the fourth. The characters felt like nothing more than characters. Is that what you want to turn into? Is that what you want our history to become? Our history? Our... But I don't remember anything at all. You don't remember anything. No, I don't want to. I don't need a past or a future. All I have left inside me is uncertainty. Giselle. No. That's not your name. Please stop trying to confuse me. I'm fine with things the way they are. If that means I don't have to be hurt, that's all I want. So please, just let me keep being the name. Let me keep being a guide, not some foolish. Is that what she honestly desires? Does she want to cast aside her past for good? If so, then... I won't force her. I can't force her to do something she doesn't want to. If she doesn't reclaim herself on her own, I'll never get to hear her say my name again. But if she wants to leave all that behind her, then it's not my place to interfere. I've done things that would warrant her wanting to rewrite her past, erasing me entirely. But I think more than anything, I'm afraid of hurting her, of breaking her any more than she already is. No, mine is a more cowardly fear. I'm just afraid she'll no longer take my hand. Alright then. What should have been behind the door was our life together. But for her, there was nothing but misery there anymore. In our time together and in me, forget everything I've said. The tale within the fourth door was the whole truth. I can live with that. I just asked you to allow me one thing. To remain by your side. Of course you may. I was the one who asked you. To forget about everything and live in eternal darkness with me. What a silly question. Do you think I would ever say no? Right. You did, didn't you? Yes, I did. Worry not, I will banish the memory. I'm sure you were simply disoriented of not learning who you are. There's nothing to fear. Only happiness awaits you. I'm getting excited now. What should we do first? Oh, I know, we should throw a party in commemoration of your decision to remain here with me. I should prepare the most wonderful feast, my sweet girl. So you forget all about him, alright? If that is what you desire, I'll never be anyone ever again. You're not the brightest, are you, my dear? You knew this would happen if you took this road. You would have been happier going down it without reclaiming yourself at all. This is absolutely brilliant. A weight has been lifted off my shoulder. My centuries-long wish has finally been realized. The one thing I didn't expect was for you to recover yourself. But it turned out the same in the end. You know what? Sure. I'll stay out of your way. And I'll pray for you both to be happy. Master. Oh, thank goodness you've woken. I was getting worried there for a moment. What kind of herbal tea would you like to start your day? Perhaps your taste has changed since we last met. Tell me, Master. No, that will do. As you wish. Say, Master, can I help you compliment my tea again, to say it's the best you've ever had? Master? Oh, yes. I'm sure I will have something nice to say about it. You were never one to withhold your praise, Master. Such a gentle-mannered, kind-hearted girl. Have I ever praised her to you before? I do recall telling her when I started gathering strange weeds from the garden for her herbal tree, that doing so at this house, given its reputation, only made her look like a real witch. And how did she react to that? I think she puffed her cheeks and frowned, and then I can't remember. She thinks I'm the Wayher girl, yet she calls me master, completely oblivious to how absurd that sounds. But she won't say my name. Eventually I'll probably forget it too. My name, who I am, everything that's happened to us, washed away by darkness, never to be found again. She's smiling. I know it's not real, but I honestly don't care anymore. All that matters is that she's smiling. Bonjour, poupée. I do not know how to pronounce that. So, I'm sure my French teachers would in like middle school are like just like, God damn it, what? Yeah, I just. So yeah, we're getting a lot of insights and endings and really sad stuff. Not remembering isn't an option. No matter what she says, I know I'm right. And if she doesn't reclaim her old self, I'll never get to hear her say my name. I know I'm being selfish here, but I can't do that. If you're afraid of what you might find, we can remember together. I haven't gotten everything back yet myself. So let's open the real door. Together. There are no other doors to open. But there is. One that can only open by our hands because it exists between the two of us. Not a door with physical form, but the door to your heart. The door to a grasp for unnaturally cold hands. Hands that long ago once had warmth. If she can't lead the way, then I have to. I must pick up the pieces of our erased history so we can both reclaim ourselves. Find the actual truth. No matter what we may uncover, I will not let go of this hand. No, I mustn't let go of it. Darkness falls over the world around us. The floor upon which we had been standing flickers out of existence, sending us dropping into an endless abyss. The dark pit. This is her door, her history, her heart. Let's try this one more time. It's not a sweet story by any means. It's a story of betrayal, anger, hatred. We caused each other pain. But that's the road we traveled. And down that road lies all the answers. The fourth door. The fifth door. 1099. It had been several days since I left the capital. We're calling it here for tonight, since we've I just want to hear what you guys think and your thoughts and stuff as we just talk about this before I'll send everyone off on a raid. Let's just have some time to chat about this, I guess. I'm sure that a lot of stuff just happened and we have some ideas. Pixel, we will reach the end of this. By the way, that was let me think about that was about the halfway point of the story. Pixel, who's gay? Yeah, this is halfway through the story. Yes. There's a since Pixel, you mentioned yeah, but there's something you should note there. When you reclaim yourself, you remember that you're Michelle. And yet the maid tries to tell you, girl, and like Morgana tells you it would have been better if you didn't reclaim yourself. There are certain implications there that are queer, but might not be lesbians. That you can totally pick up on there. Yeah, that's another part where that just doesn't fit with the story, Mosca. Where at every other point it showed pretty much everyone with a level of care and internality, even if they were like a complete asshole like say Jacopo or like a sociopath like Yukimasa, right? Like take the person who shot Jacopo, right? Yeah, Michelle has a lot of trans vibes. Though, as much as the cyberpunk cat girl playing Fallout New Vegas, I mean, like, yeah, the signs are there, and if you're ready to see them, this is about the time you're about to. If you like know what to look for, you're already gonna be seeing them here. I'm sorry, Pixel. But yeah, it'll become more clear with time, definitely, and like we'll learn more about these characters, right? And maybe there's still so much more to learn because like that wasn't their life, and we're going to try to see it now. As painful it is, like have to, we can't just ignore it, but we have to move past it somehow. Yeah, the fifth one is incredibly rough, and I'm gonna have to put up some content warnings, like same for the Yukimasa one, but for different accesses. The fifth one is incredibly, yeah. You know what the worst part is, Mosca? There's another chapter with that I'm gonna have to put even more warnings on than the fifth one because it gets rough. It gets really rough. Incredible. Yep. It just fantastic. Oh, I'm accidentally scrolling like an idiot, so I'm. Did I save already? Let me just make sure I did that. The Cursed Mansion. Yep. Yep. Not quite lesbiabs. I'm so sorry to disappoint you, Pixel. I thought it was clear it was clear at this point. But I think that's this should be a good stopping point. And thank you so much for joining me on reading some more The House of Fata Morgana. And today I am going to just yeah, Giselle's great. She's guess what? Giselle and Michelle are some of my favorite characters of all time. I love them. They're great. And it'll be a while before they reach that point because there's a lot going on with them. Anyway, I'm gonna read Proxy Excuse, so say hello to her for me, and thank you all so much, and have a wonderful night, y'all. Oh my god, the raid's getting ready, so I gotta fill space. Good night and goodbye. See ya!